and anyway, I'm meditating, and just this vision, this download of a vision, like came into my third eye. Is there no other way to describe it? Like a wormhole that expanded into like a universe. I can't even, like a Milky Way download, like into my third eye. It was just so clear and so vivid. I don't know how long I was sitting there. I was just sitting on the beach meditating. It was like pure consciousness. And I saw like the vision of this school, and I saw people, and I saw the location, and I saw the website, like everything about it. And I got out of this meditation and I was like, oh my God, I need to start an international yoga academy.
Hello, Yogi Show community. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Here we are arriving on episode number 14. We are feeling oh so good. I can't even tell you. Yogi Bryan and I have been absolutely loving all of your feedback on the last few guests and episodes that we've had, and can't wait to share today's episode with you. Today's guest is our friend Lauren Rudick. Lauren is a traveling yogini and creator of Yoga Academy International. She's super fun, energetic, and loves to raise the vibration of everyone around her. We dive deep with Lauren about her travels around the globe, leading unique yoga experiences and trainings in amazing places like Morocco, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Iceland. Yes, Iceland. I didn't know they did yoga in Iceland, but I assume they do yoga everywhere in the world nowadays. I should have thought about that. But you'll hear about it on the show. I want to go there so bad now. It sounds incredible. She's on a mission to change the way yoga teachers are educated and aspires to inspire yogis around the globe by bringing mindfulness, conscious communication, and joy into everything that she does. Brian and I want to thank you so much for your support and grabbing merch from our brand new merch section of theyogishow.com that we officially launched last week. So many of you have purchased tank top shirts, hats, etc., and we can't thank you enough. Your support is just a gentle reminder that we are on the right path, providing value to you each and every week, and holding space for you to learn, laugh, and soak up knowledge from these incredible guests on all things yoga, mindfulness, and gratitude. If you haven't checked out the merch section and you'd like to grab something for you or someone you love while you're listening to the show, you can do so at theyogishow.com/merch. That's theyogishow.com/merch. Another way to support the show is just by simply sharing an episode with a friend or a yogi, someone that might just get value from it. Thank you for helping us grow this community. Make sure to subscribe or follow the show on whatever streaming platform you're hearing this right now so you never miss an episode. With all that being said, let's jump into today's conversation with Miss Lauren Rudick. Enjoy episode 14, my friends. We will see you on the other side. All right, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show, Miss Lauren Rudick, or Lauren Rubik's Cube. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking the time and fighting through the technology glitches and issues with us this morning. So appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's all working out. Brian, what's up, man?
What is going on, Lauren? Thank you so much for coming on to the Yogi Show podcast. And you got your sleep in, didn't you?
I got my sleep in, and I'm also totally flattered to be with some Instagram celebrities here. Yogi memes, big deal.
Yogi memes, Namaste AF, Lauren Rudick, we're all making it happen.
I'm wearing a Namaste as fuck sweatshirt right now.
What? Heck yeah.
Oh my gosh, too fun. This is so cool that, the power of the internet, the power of Instagram to bring people together and communicate. I don't even know. How did we find Lauren, Brian? Did you find Lauren? You did, right?
Yeah, you commented on the Dylan Werner meme that I posted a couple weeks ago when his episode came out. You commented on it. I was like, oh, whoa, I need to reach out. She needs to be on the podcast.
Yeah,
I was looking at your Instagram, like you're all over the world. Amazing pictures on beaches. Like, yes.
Like, what's up?
Like, I'm a little jealous, but
Yeah.
We'll just get her on the show. I'm a little jealous. We'll get her on the show. We'll talk to her. See how she did it.
Yeah. Send her a DM and then boom.
You can do it too. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and I managed to make it work. So you can do it.
Yeah.
Anyone can do it.
And then you're here, So it's the power of invitation. We talk about that on the show a lot, that the power of invitation when we say, for anyone, like just to come on the show or to go do a gig or whatever, it's like somebody wants me to be part of something awesome. Like we don't, like Brian and I, when someone asks us to do stuff, we just say yes. Like let's see what's up, like what's going on. Let's have some fun. That's
pretty amazing and special. And honestly, I think my career would have gone in a totally different direction had I said yes more. Like at the beginning, talking about the internet and Instagram, at the beginning of things, I received a lot of invitations that I said no to because I didn't fully understand the breadth of reach of Instagram. And I also didn't understand the direction it could go.
Yeah.
Like several brands would reach out to me and say like, hey, do you want to collaborate? Do you want to wear our stuff? Blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, no, like I'm not going to sell your yoga pants for you. And I'm like, wait a minute. That was not about necessarily advertising someone. It was about a collaboration. And I missed opportunities. Or way back when I was asked to record some online yoga stuff from a very small company at the time. And I was like, why would I do that? Like I can just record and put stuff on my own website.
Right.
That very small company is a big fucking deal. And I was like, whoops, I missed an opportunity.
But opportunity. So interesting you say that, right? It's like opportunities come. Sometimes we don't, like if you don't jump on it or like it passes by, you're like, oh, well, like you kind of like let it go. And then who knows what comes because you didn't do that. You put your energy somewhere else. And then like, who knows what that spawns too. So it's like, for sometimes like as a yoga teacher, like there's a lot of places that, as you become a teacher and you start growing, you can teach online, you can teach here, there, and all the studios around. Like places are going to ask for your time as you continue to build your personal brand or as you continue to, show up and do awesome shit. And, it's like, sometimes it's like, I don't want to promote those leggings, I don't want to promote this as you get a little bit bigger. And I'm assuming you're there now, like you're doing your own thing. You're killing it on Instagram. You're killing it with your yoga academy. So I'm sure we'll get into all that. But like, first of all, like give us some context. How are you traveling around to all these amazing places and teaching yoga? Like it didn't start by you doing that. Like how did you get the invitation to go do that stuff?
I didn't get the invitation. I
made it happen.
Like I'm doing this. Basically, so my journey to becoming a yoga teacher was totally accidental. I went to my first yoga teacher training in response to my very first heartbreak. I was crushed and I basically ran away and decided to become a yoga teacher because someone said, hey, why don't you become a yoga teacher? And I was like, people don't do that. And that was like 11 years ago before like everybody and their mom has done a YTT.
Right.
So I went to this yoga school and it completely changed my life. And all I knew was that I wanted to travel. I had done a little bit of traveling. So just a little background, I'm extremely fortunate in that I grew up in a middle-class home in Canada, in Montreal, Quebec. It's a pretty liberal city. And our education system is almost free. So I went to university and it cost like 1,500 Canadian dollars, which was like $1,000 US a year.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah. And if you are local, you're not allowed to live in dorms your first year. They don't allow local students to live in the dorms. So I sometimes feel like I missed out a bit on that like university experience. Although when I was in university, I did have a boyfriend that was from out of town. So I kind of got to go to, the frat parties and the toga parties. And
yeah, for sure. Greek life.
Yeah. The dorm rooms. I was like, oh, I'm glad I don't live here. But so what was really common for people who are from Montreal, and honestly, like most of us stayed in town for school. Like I didn't really realize that what's normal in the rest of the world is that if you go to university, you usually go abroad. Everybody in my community was staying home. And we all lived at home because the school system where I'm from has like college, which is like, you guys would call it like community college and then university, and community college is it's totally free. So we all had an associate's degree that we got for free. And then you go to university for 3 years. And so because I had graduated from high school at 17 and then gone to college and lived at home for college, it wasn't like a huge shift to continue living at home for university. So the background, the reason why I'm saying this is that I was really fortunate in that I lived at home for my first 2 years of university. and I worked almost full time while I was in school. And because I was living at home and school cost $1,000, like I was saving tons of money. I think I had more disposable income when I was in university than I've ever had, which is not normal for most people. And so I traveled always in the summertime. So one summer I drove across Canada. One summer I went to Europe because I was able to save a lot of money, like living at home and working. And then when I moved out, my disposable income went down the toilet. But
that's what happens. Adulting.
So I already knew that I loved travel, but I also didn't know that I could travel alone, especially as a woman. That just like wasn't done. And so after university, I got my heart broken and I went to yoga school in Mexico, and I had met other women. I was the second youngest there, and I had met all these other women that were like older than me, not married, and traveling by themselves. And I was like, what? Like, these women are not hags, you know?
Right.
Like, if you're
right.
not married, like, you must be like a shriveled up witch. And that's just the community I grew up in. It was really conservative, very like one track. And so, yeah, I was just so inspired and I really wanted to travel. And I came back from, so on one of the days off, at yoga teacher training, I went to, we didn't have any internet there. There was no computers. This was like way back when. I went to an internet cafe and I just applied for every international job I could find. I was so inspired.
Teaching job or just like teaching doing anything?
Doing anything. I never thought I would teach yoga. I didn't think teaching yoga is a job.
Okay, right.
I knew one yoga teacher, and that was the yoga teacher who told me go to yoga school, like go be.
Right.
I didn't know anything. I was super young. I was 23, but also like in Montreal, like yoga wasn't that big at the time.
Yeah.
I had no experience in the international yoga community. Instagram didn't exist. Facebook didn't exist in the way it does today. I had never encountered international yogis. I didn't know that was anything.
Right. And it really wasn't a whole big thing back then. You know what I mean? Pre-Instagram and stuff. I mean, there's like a handful of people that were like the yoga journal kind of people. They were doing conferences and stuff, but like it wasn't like it is now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not even close.
Yoga Journal, like the magazine.
Yeah.
But you know what? I probably hadn't even seen Yoga Journal yet. No, I had not. I had not even seen Yoga Journal. So like I had no experience. And the only thing I knew of yoga was like asana. I knew it made me feel good, but I didn't really know anything else about it. And then when I went to my 200-hour training, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a whole lifestyle. And there's like anatomy and philosophy and music and all kinds of enriching things that I just fell in love with. But anyway, so I came back from Mexico where my first YTT was, and I had job offers in my inbox. Nice. I just said yes. Like you were saying, you say yes. And I just said yes. I was tenacious and excited. And I left 5 days later for 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I had $200 to my name when I left because I spent the last of my money that I had on yoga teacher training. I had a back of $200 and I went to the bank and I asked them for a credit card. I got my very first credit card and I said, I need to have a $5,000 limit just in case I need to fly home from anywhere in the world. And that was my.
And what did they say? Did they say, okay, here you go?
Yeah, the idea of having like a credit card. Oh, my parents? No. Oh my God, my parents.
No.
Emails. I used to get emails from my dad like, come home, you're giving me a heart attack.
I can't sleep.
Early. Yeah. My mom, I lived in Italy at one point. My mom came to Italy and we were like in Venice at the canal and she just looks at me and she was like, okay, I get it. You're independent. You can come home now. Have an intervention with me. I was like, I'm not trying to rebel here. Like, this is just my life now. And anyway, so I traveled for 2 years. I was not teaching yoga. I was teaching yoga on the side every time I was doing stuff. But I was like nanny. I was working on cruise ships. I taught English in China. And everywhere I was telling people like, oh, I'm doing this, but actually I'm a yoga teacher. Oh, I'm doing this, but actually I'm a yoga teacher. So I was teaching part-time to anybody who asked me to teach to them. And one thing that was clear was that I liked myself better when I was teaching yoga. People responded to me well when I was teaching yoga. And if this is something that makes me happy and makes other people happy, I want to do more of this. And I think I'm fortunate, to be honest, without sounding snobby or stuck up, but like I have a talent at this. This is definitely where my talent and my passion meet.
Yeah. You can feel it. I can feel it.
Yeah. And I'm lucky that I found my talent and my passion at a really young age. I think not everybody has that opportunity. So anyway, after 2 years, my best friend ended up getting married and I was in her wedding. So I came home and I had done my 500-hour training while abroad and gone to some yoga conferences and was just like super inspired. And at this point, I knew I wanted to be a yoga teacher full time. And I had experienced the international yoga community. I went to a conference in Hong Kong and I was like, oh, this is a whole industry. And I met Sean Korn. I didn't even know who Sean Korn was at the time. But I met her at this conference, and she's become a huge inspiration of mine.
Sure.
But I was like, wow, there is yoga conferences and there's books on yoga and there's keynotes and there's this music and people have jewelry lines and clothing lines and all these things. I was super inspired and I was like, I want to be in this industry. Mm-hmm. And I don't
all in
consumer. Yeah. I want to be a player. And that was clear.
Yeah.
25 and I was like, I'm going to be a yoga teacher. Like I'm going to be a known yoga teacher. Like that was where I was going. I was sure of it. So I got back to Montreal and I started teaching full time. And like many yoga teachers experience, we have this idealized version of it. A very romantic version of it.
Which is way different than how it really is.
Yeah, and how it really is a grind. And it's fucking tiring and the schedule sucks and you don't make a lot of money.
And the pace sucks.
And you feel disposable and competitive and I mean just all of that.
Yep.
And so, I was like really thrown into the real world of what it's like to be a full-time local yoga teacher. And I was like, this is shit.
This is a grind, this is like that hustle of driving 40 minutes one way to teach for $26.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I'm serving, but it's like, I'm not able to do the things that I need to do to like grow in my own like life. Like I'm just doing the day to day, and like there's nothing else. I can't do anything else. You know what I mean?
You can't do anything else because you're so consumed at trying to make a living at something that is not that loop.
I know, and I know Brian can for sure has something with that. That competitiveness.
Yeah, competitiveness. It's just I see that a lot in yoga, and I started this in my Namaste AF Instagram to make fun of yoga, just because I saw like a lot of seriousness, a lot of competitiveness, and I tell myself daily that it's just fucking yoga. Like I take my practice seriously, but then I don't take my practice seriously because like for me, I grew up playing competitive golf and like I have that competitive drive. And early on in my practice, like I brought that competitiveness to yoga, and especially like being a teacher and like you want to work your way up or get those class numbers up and be competitive with that. But it's like I have to step back and like be like, look, it's a community here. Like we're all in this together. Like the numbers ebbs and flows. Like it's really, I got to dial that competitiveness back in yoga.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I also feel like something I remind my students is that if yoga is really part of your life and lifestyle, for me, it's not just asana, it's my lifestyle.
Right.
People say like, oh, you must do yoga. You must do yoga like so much. How many hours a week do you do yoga? And I'm like, if I'm lucky, I'm doing yoga every moment of my life.
Oh, love that.
And I miss the moments that I slip up, So, I tell my students, like, if this is part of your whole life, then why can't you add humor? Why can't you be frustrated sometimes? Why can't you be sad on your mat? Why can't you be elated on your mat? Why can't you be silly on your mat? And in all aspects of your life,
Yeah,
asana is 1/8 of the practice.
Absolutely. Yoga is like for me, like the practice of yoga is just like you said, it's all throughout the day, because if I'm doing my meditation practice, if I'm doing the asana practice, like that is setting the foundation for when I do have, a shitty time or when I do feel hopeless or something like that, I can come back to my breath or I can come back to the things that I've been working on. So yes, 100% what you said. It's an ongoing, it's a daily, it's a almost minute by minute practice, not just going to the yoga studio.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Anyway,
because that's
back. Is it okay? Can I swing back and
Yes, swing back. Swing wherever you want to swing.
All right, I'm going to swing back just to close it up. So this podcast episode is over. Bye, guys.
Yeah, bye.
So basically, it was a grind and it was sucky. And I wasn't happy, and all I wanted to do was travel. And I pinched all of my pennies to travel when I could, and that meant I had no social life in Montreal. When I was away, all of my friends had started to build their careers over those years, and I felt like I was left behind because I wasn't doing that.
Because you're not present there, so it's like you can't put your energy there when you're putting your energy wherever you're traveling to. You're over there. Totally. I get that.
Yeah,
your relationships fall to the wayside. I get it.
Totally. And people would also say to me like, it's so nice that you're traveling for now, or like you're taking time out to do this, or taking time off. And I'd be like, time off from what?
Yeah.
This is
I know.
So, but I knew that travel was really important to me, and I knew that yoga was really important to me. And it was actually reading a Yoga Journal magazine one day, because my mom had got me a subscription to Yoga Journal for my birthday.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So I remember, because I hadn't seen Yoga Journal before. But anyway, do you remember those old toe socks ads with Catherine Rudick when she was naked?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Those raised a lot of flags back in the day.
That was like the first nude yoga ever. And I was so inspired. I just thought it was so beautiful. I saw these pictures and I was like, wow, like, who is this woman? Like, this is unbelievable. I was just mesmerized by her. And so at the bottom of those ads, there's her name. It says like featuring Yogi Catherine Budig. And I Googled her, got to her website, and I just saw where it said like where you can practice with her. She had these dates and locations. And I was like, oh my God, yoga and travel is a thing? I've got that's my thing.
Yes.
And at that very moment, I started religiously following Catherine's life. Basically, I subscribed to her.
Yeah. You subscribe.
And just like seeing what she was doing. It was before Instagram, seeing what she was doing. And I was like, she had a Facebook page. I was like, I'm going to have a Facebook page. She's sharing her journey. I'm going to share my journey in my words. She's talking about her inspirations. And I was like, okay, now next step, how do I teach internationally? And it was like workshops on things. And I was like, I've got to start designing workshops on things. So I ended up going to a Yoga Journal conference in New York, and I took her classes. I took Sean Korn's classes, and I sort of started to understand like how these international yogis design workshops. Like there's
like what it takes to make it happen.
Right.
Yeah, like how to actually do it.
There's a takeaway. You have to have fun. You have to be touched in some way. And I was like, I think I could do this. So I started thinking about what I'm doing, what I'm learning, what I could offer as like a super young, 25-year-old. I'm like, what could I?
Yeah. What do I have?
So idealistic.
Yeah.
And that's also a funny thing I think about now, looking back. Like at 25, I thought I knew everything about life.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking like these young, like 20-year-old emerging Instagram yoga stars that are teaching workshops around the world. And I'm like, what the fuck are you delivering?
I know. I used to be that person too. When I started yoga at 26 or whatever it was, teaching. Like quoting Eckhart Tolle and like Deepak Chopra, and I'm like, yes, like I am Rumi, and like like saying these quotes and doing all these things. It's like, now I'm 34, and like I didn't know shit, man. I was just speaking from the vibration level that I was at, and I was just speaking what the knowledge that I knew it then. But like, I'm sure when I think about this, I talked to Summer's my wife, when I'm 44, looking back 10 years from now, like I didn't know shit when I was 34. Like, does that happen? I don't know. TBD.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I mean, I was just sharing what I knew, and people liked it.
Exactly.
Anyway, so I designed these workshops, and then because when I get an idea in my head, I'm going to follow through on it. That's just my personality. If I have a dream, if I have an idea, I'm doing it. And I'm so stubborn, I will stop at nothing until it's done, or until I don't even say until I fall flat on my ass, because I've done that many times, but like until I've exhausted every possibility and embarrassed myself, I will keep going. So I then just wrote to every single yoga festival in the world.
Yeah, take me. Please hire me. Can I come?
I wrote them an email like, hi, my name is Lauren Rudick, and I'm this international yoga teacher from Canada, and I'd love to teach at your festival. Like, that was it.
Yep.
And I wrote to everyone, and of course I got many, many, many no's, lots of non-responses, but I got one, let's talk about it.
And who was it?
Wanderlust.
Oh, fun.
So the way it happened was Wanderlust had expanded to Canada for the first time that year. They were in Whistler, and they did not bring all of their U.S. staff because of visa reasons.
Gotcha.
And so I just happened to email Chris Cuevas, who is one of the original Wanderlust guys, at the right time. He was on his email at that moment. And
timing of the universe. Perfect.
Just been speaking about what are we going to do? We need to hire Canadian staff. Where are we going to find these people? And he saw my resume, and I had event planning experience and worked on cruise ships. And he wrote to me back like, hey, Lauren, no, you can't take it to the festival, but we might have something else for you. Can you get on Skype right now? And I was like, yep. Got on with Chris. We really hit it off. And he basically said, we need these section managers and production managers who are going to be in charge of the yoga spaces. Like, we'll fly you out to Whistler, we'll put you up, whatever. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I didn't even know what Wanderlust was. Changed my life. So I went there, and my job was to make sure everything was set and prepared for the yoga teachers in the yoga rooms, and like organize the volunteers who were, checking people into each class and making sure the teachers had everything they needed and classes were finishing and starting on time, just, helping the flow of the space. And the gift that was to me was I got to sit in for 3 days straight on all of the most inspiring yoga workshops ever with these huge teachers, right? Like all of the biggest, most influential yoga teachers in the world. And I was sitting in the room watching, and I learned so much from this and from them. Learned a little bit of the behind the scenes of a festival, and I learned what it is to teach yoga internationally, and what you have to offer, and the kind of the level that you've got to be at, and what is inspiring, what is not, what people respond to, etc. Anyway, so I worked with Wanderlust, I think, for 3 years as a section manager. But after a year, I think, working with them, I said, like, hey, this production managing stuff is really, really great, but can I teach?
Right.
And they said, okay, well, you get a 2-hour break. We'll give you a room. If you can teach on your 2-hour break, you get one shot. Go for it.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So I taught Yoga for Better Sex, was the first Wanderlust, I think.
The course?
Yeah, no, it was just a workshop at the time.
Okay.
So I taught Yoga for Better Sex. There was 86 women in the class. It was the biggest class I had ever taught at the time.
Amazing.
And it went really well. And then the next year after that, they invited me to have a proper teaching spot. So
how cool.
Yeah, Wanderlust really gave me my start.
Yeah, and that's cool because you have a unique offering. Like, nobody else is teaching that workshop. Like, I've never heard of that before. So like, you have a unique offering. Obviously, you're from Canada, and you're making it happen, and you're just putting yourself out there. Like, that's the like the nugget of all. Like, one of the nuggets in all of that is like, be willing to put yourself out there, accept something that you're like, I don't like. This is like a stepping stone for me to get my foot in the door. And, just never know. Just keep being in the pursuit of your dreams, and the universe will open the doors where there once walls. As long as you're true to yourself and true to the path, everything's going to work itself out. Like, it's all working out.
Absolutely. And I wish I could take that same feeling in my personal life as I do in the yoga world. Honestly,
yeah.
In my yoga life, people hate it when I say business and yoga at the same time. And I'm like,
I know.
Yoga is an $8 billion a year industry in the US.
Right.
I don't like when I say industry of yoga either. It is a fucking industry. Get with the program. And I am a yoga teacher, and this is my job, and I have a business. And
this is my livelihood. You know what I mean?
Then I'm sorry, but if I don't make money at this, I have to have another job, and I can help people if I'm not.
Then I can't serve.
Yoga.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a yoga business, Karen and Carl out there. We refer to Karens and Carls out there. We meme Karen a lot. We need to meme Carl too a lot. But it's a yoga business, people.
It is. And, I think the people, honestly, that do well in yoga do treat their job in yoga as a business, and they're really professional. And that's actually one thing I learned from Catherine, just from like her. She is so freaking professional.
Oh, super, super professional. When we had her on the show, she was so punctual, authority. I mean, just so kind and just organized. We were definitely not organized. We had to record it twice because the first time we fucked it up. So we had to record it again with her. But, just watching her and what she's doing and the growth that she has, like, she's an inspiration to me for sure. That's why we reached out to her to be on the show.
Totally.
And just seeing these leveling up your game, like if you're out there, you're teaching yoga, you're new to the game, just start with something small. But whatever it is that you're putting out to the world, and make sure it matches the vibration that you emit when you're in the room. Whatever graphic you're putting out, whatever audio recording, make sure it's up to the level of your standards, so that you can, when someone sees that, you're not there physically in the room when someone sees your Instagram post, that they have that same feeling of like that you're delivering the message with the highest level of authenticity. And that's how you win, by leveling up your game in yoga and business and whatever. That's how you win,
Hey, this is Yogi Bryan, just chiming in for your mid-episode trivia question. Are you ready for the question, ladies and gentlemen? Are you ready for it? Remember the rules. No cheating, no looking at your phone, no Googling. We have the answer at the end of this episode. So you got to stay tuned to the end of this episode for the answer. But here is your trivia question. It is, which planet spins the fastest? So which planet spins the fastest? That is your trivia question. We will have the answer at the end of this episode. And if you love this episode, please at the end tell your friends, subscribe, leave a review. If you're on Google Play, Stitcher, Apple Music, there's a place to leave a review. We would love to see your great reviews for the podcast. Share it, tell your friends. But let's get back to the show.
I tell my students this, like, I know it feels like this space is very crowded, but you are unique and your perspective is unique and you have a unique offering to share. We all do. And there is an audience for everybody's unique offering.
Exactly. And when you're referring to students, you're referring to the students that you're training to become teachers?
Yeah, I'm referring to my YTT students. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say that each and every one of us has a unique gift, and our dharma for my vision, this is what I believe, is to discover what that gift is within us and to share that shit with the world. And if that gift is teaching yoga, then you better get the fuck out there and share that with the world, because the world needs you now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now. So.
And when people do what they love and do what they're good at, the better the world is going to be. People will be happier. People will feel healthier, and that creates a better world. It creates more peace.
Yep. Updating the dream of the planet, and everyone is leveling up, So how did you get from teaching on Wanderlust, doing some festivals, so then you decided, like, I'm going to do it, like, I'm going to book somewhere to go and take a group for a retreat? Or how was your first international, like, travel gig? What was it like?
It was a really bad experience, actually.
Oh, shit.
My first... So I was teaching at some workshops and festivals, and then I was invited. Actually, this was not the bad experience. I was invited to teach in Bermuda, and it was at Lucky. Well, now it's called Lucky Elephant Wellness, but Tally is the owner of the studio, and I met Tally on, like, I think Skype or something, and she asked me. She'd been following me on Instagram. She asked me to come teach. I met her on Skype, and it was great. And I was like, "Hey, I'm doing it. I'm going to Bermuda." Yeah. And I told my parents, and they're like, "Are you crazy?"
In the middle of...
And I was like, at her house. And my parents were like, "She's a stranger." Like, yeah, but I met her. I met her on Skype, and she seems fine. She seems legit. I'm like, she invited me. And my mom was like, "Who's paying for your plane ticket?" And I was like, "Well, I am." And then I get 60% of the workshop fee, and then I'll come back. And she's like, "How do you know it's going to work? This is crazy, Lauren. You can't just go gallivanting." Yeah. Anyway, I go to Bermuda.
Anyway, I go.
It was like my first successful foray, and whatever. I'll just share it. I think I made like $2,000 or maybe $3,000 off that, which was a huge amount of money to me at the time. Mm-hmm. And it was my first huge win. I was like, "Yep, I can do this now." And I went home to my mom and I was like, "Mom, I made $3,000 this weekend." Yeah. Like, this is a thing, and I am. And people like it.
Yeah, and I can actually do it. Exactly,
Yeah. So Bermuda and Iceland were like my two biggest things at the beginning.
Iceland,
yeah.
They do yoga in Iceland?
I actually have a really nice following now in Iceland. I've been 3 times. And,
how cool is that?
Yeah, that's cool. That's
Iceland has been really, really great for me and my career, and I love them. And I have like a family now in Iceland. Outside, I've stayed at the same family's house every year, and she's like my second mom, and her husband's like my second dad, and their kids are like my siblings.
How cool is that? It's Wild Card Monday here on the Yogi Show. They do yoga in Iceland, people. Absolutely.
And the Icelanders are amazing. Like, they're such warm, kind, sweet people.
Yeah, I had a neighbor in my family house back in Chicago that was they were from Iceland. They were the nicest people.
Yeah, so then I wanted to do retreats, and I was hired the first time I did a retreat by a company, and it wasn't a great experience. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get into the whole...
No worries. Yeah, no worries.
I was unprepared. I was also really young, and I didn't know how to be assertive about what I didn't know how to be assertive, period. I'll leave it at that. They didn't give me any guidance. The owners of the company weren't there. They tried not to pay me at the end of the retreat, which was devastating. Yeah, it was devastating. Like I was young. This was my first thing. They made some accusations which were like completely untrue about me, and I thought it was going to ruin my career. I ended up calling Chris from Wanderlust, crying, being like, "This is what happened. This is what they're accusing me of. What do I do?" And he's like, "Lauren, that's a joke. Like, I can't do that. I have to pay it."
Yeah, you got to pay the woman.
But I was afraid like this would ruin my reputation. Like, I was just so scared. However, the cool thing was it was in Nicaragua on Madeiras Beach, which is where I run my yoga school out of now. And I remember the first time I got to that beach, I had been there before, like 6 months probably earlier. And I just like fell in love with this place. And I was like, I'm going to spend a significant amount of time here. I don't know how or why, but it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then that yoga company sent me to lead a retreat on the same beach. And I was like, this is what it was. Like I knew it. And what's funny is that's not what it was. It was what I'm doing now, which is like running Yoga Academy International. Same area. But anyway, so yeah, I led that retreat and it was not a good experience. And I was like, you know what? I have travel experience. I've worked on luxury cruise ships. I know what people want in like the travel world, and I know how to make people comfortable. And I used to be an event planner. Like there's no reason why I can't do this by myself.
Exactly. So Time to go all in. And I was like, where do I want to go? Where have I always dreamed of going? Where am I going to go? And I was like, Morocco. I've always wanted to go to Morocco. I'm going to Marrakesh. And I just like started researching Marrakesh. And it took me like 4 months to put the itinerary together and to find the right space. And usually, especially now, I never do retreats sight unseen. But that one gave me a tour on Skype of the property. And I was like, no, it's actually really great. And they were really easy to work with. So Morocco was my first successful yoga retreat on my own. And it was really scary. I had to make a deposit, and that was really scary. It was a big amount of money for me at the time, but it was successful. We had 9 people and it was a successful retreat. And that inspired me to keep going. And then I did the next year at Costa Rica. I did a retreat in Costa Rica at a retreat center I had actually been to before. I had visited and checked it out personally. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I was really burnt out. Where'd you go in Costa Rica? Where'd you go?
To Pranamar. Which is it's amazing. It's owned by my friend Nancy and her mom. And Nancy's one of my inspirations and teachers now. And she's actually on our online yoga studio. We have a tantric yoga course with her, which is really special. She's a fantastic teacher. Awesome. So I had heard about this place like on Facebook. A friend of mine had a honeymoon there, and I saw pictures, and I was like, wow, it'd be so cool to do a yoga retreat there one day.
Let's go.
And then like randomly, no, not even let's go, randomly about, I don't know, 6 months or 8 months later, I was sent by this Costa Rican travel company. It was when Instagram was first starting. They asked me to visit a bunch of properties in Costa Rica to think about yoga retreats there. Oh. They said, all you have to do is pay for your flight and your travel to each spot, and we'll give you 3 nights at each hotel and your food included. And I was like, okay. And again, my parents are like, are you crazy? What are you doing? And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. I think it's fine. It'll be fine. So yeah, I went and did it. And one of those properties was Pranamar. And I was like, yes, I'm coming back here. So I booked a retreat there, put down the deposit on that credit card that's now getting use. Down, and I went back like 8 months later, led then my next retreat that was, profitable and great. But one thing that did happen was that I was burnt out. Like I was still teaching full-time in Montreal, still not making that much money. The retreats were helping, and it was helping me get traveling, and the festivals were helping me get to where I wanted to go. But I wasn't earning enough of a living to support myself, and I was exhausted still and hustling. So I decided to stay for a month in Costa Rica and live off the profits.
Nice.
Of that retreat.
Nice.
Yep. And I ended up in Santa Teresa, and I just love that little town. And I ended up finding an apartment to rent, and it happened to be next to a yoga studio.
And then you never left?
Yeah, I started to learn to surf. I had no intention of keeping yoga. I was just going to be on vacation. I'm surfing and like partying. And I had drawn like a big Om symbol on my surfboard in wax because I thought that would be cool.
It is cool.
Well, if you're a surfer, that's not cool. Not as cool as you think it's going to be. Also, like putting your feet on an Om symbol is like a pretty bad idea in general. Just if anybody's listening, don't do that. So, but I was walking to go surfing one day, and there's this woman on the phone in front of this hotel that had that yoga studio, and she's really stressed out. And I walk by her, and I'm like, "Hey, are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I'm like, "Okay." And I keep walking, and she turns around. She's like, "Wait, are you a yoga teacher?" Crazy, because I had this Om symbol on my surfboard.
Right,
and she's
right,
like,
right.
"Are you a yoga teacher?" And I was like, "Yes." And she goes, "I need you. Can you teach a class tonight?"
And you're like,
I was like, "Okay." And the class was in, I don't know, 2 hours or something. And I taught a class, and it got really good feedback. And it turns out in that town in Costa Rica, unlike Canada, where you get paid, X amount of dollars per hour,
yeah.
I was paid on commission, and I had 25 people in the class, and I made $200.
Oh, sweet.
What?
Yeah,
sign me
up.
Yeah, that was the most
Sweet.
I'd ever made in a yoga class in my life. And she said, "People really liked your class. Can you teach 5 times a week?" And I was like, "Yup."
Yep.
And
no problem. I'll be there tomorrow. Tell me when.
yeah, and I lived next door. I was posting on Instagram when I was teaching, and posting on like the Facebook page of the town and making graphics and all this stuff. And people started to go to certain hotels and say, like, "Does Lauren Rudick teach yoga here?" Because people were following me on Instagram. They knew I was in this town, and I was sharing my journey of, learning and
So cool.
surfing and becoming one with nature and meditating every day. And yeah, and so then other hotels started asking me to teach because they were getting requests. Before I knew it, I had more work than I could handle. I had 15 classes a week. I capped off 12. And I was making more money teaching yoga in Costa Rica than I had ever made teaching yoga in Canada. So I was like,
sure.
why would I ever leave?
Yeah. Why?
Gosh,
yeah, it's beautiful there. Costa Rica is amazing. Brian, have you ever been to Costa Rica?
I haven't, but I'm getting my plane ticket right now, one-way ticket right now. I'm moving the fuck out of Arizona, going to Costa Rica.
I'm moving to there, Brian, in February.
Yeah, you gotta come to Lauren's
I'll be
retreat
your class.
in February.
Be your class. I'm moving there, so.
Done.
It's so amazing there. It's so amazing.
Yeah. So I lived there for 3 years, and
Damn.
the difference was that instead of, and I was still teaching internationally, so I was still like leaving occasionally and teaching festivals or teaching workshops, still going to Iceland, still going to Bermuda.
Iceland, they need you over there.
So it was like really working out. And for the first time, I felt like I was living the lifestyle I wanted. I wanted a lifestyle that had travel in it. I wanted the tropics. And I wanted freedom. And freedom comes with, or if you want that kind of freedom, I guess, like there has to be a certain financial price tag to it to be able to afford to live where you want to and to travel when you want to and visit my family when I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to make it work in Costa Rica. And also because I was living there and sharing my journey on Instagram that was like emerging and starting to get popular, people wanted to come and do what I was doing. And so I started leading retreats, local retreats in my town, and I didn't have to pay for my accommodation or my plane ticket.
How cool is that? Destination where you live. Yeah, that's it.
So I was able to bring people to me, and I didn't have like a break-even point. Everything about it was profitable.
Yep.
So I was able to run retreats for very inexpensive and according to people's price points. So I was running retreats sometimes at my friend's youth hostel for $300 a week.
Yep.
Because I just put like a small fee for my teaching on top of it. And everything I was doing was a bonus. And, if people wanted more luxury, I could do it at a hotel, but I could run a retreat with 2 people.
So cool.
Book the rooms out at the hotels. And so I ended up making like really great contacts at hotels as well from, bringing them extra business and running these retreats.
Yeah, of course.
That's really how things started to get viable for me. And
yeah, and it just snowballs, it's like I have all the momentum, like everything is building for you, like in those moments, and you're creating this new life, the life that you've been dreaming of. And then how do you get it from there, like in Costa Rica before, like obviously you left at some point, but how did you roll all of this, like this amazing shit that you're doing into the Yoga Academy International? Like how was that born? And then how did you take it to what you're doing now?
So basically, after living in Costa Rica for 2 years, a friend of mine approached me and said, "You should start running yoga teacher trainings." And I was like, "I'm not ready." And she's like, "I have the curriculum." And I was like, if I run yoga teacher trainings, I want to do them on my own. And I want to run it with the curriculum that I see fit because I don't think the standard is high enough in yoga right now for training. every schmo is running yoga teacher trainings, and it's diluting our whole industry. Every time a shitty yoga teacher gets graduated out into the world, it makes all of us look bad. This is my life work. I've been studying this my whole life, and I think it's a disservice to me and every other great yoga teacher out there when a yoga teacher who doesn't know what the 8 limbs of yoga are, or doesn't know their anatomy, or doesn't know what your 10 is, gets graduated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and and when you're saying that, it's like we're not saying that like you're a bad yoga teacher because you're new. Like there are just there is evidence out there that there are schools that will just put somebody through just so they can get paid. That's what you're referring to.
For a lot of people, and also until recently, the Yoga Alliance has made some changes recently, which I'm actually really on board with. But until recently, like the Yoga Alliance wasn't doing shit all about it. And any teacher that had a 200-hour training and 1 year of teaching experience could lead a
school. Yeah, I know, because I'm looking to have a school in 2 years, and I don't have a 500, so I need to go. I'm going to do a training. So yeah.
So now we have a new standard. Come do our 500. It's fun.
YOLO. I got 3 kids. I can't leave anywhere out of Boca Raton, Florida right now.
Okay, you can bring me in if you have a studio that will host. We can do them in weekends too. We'll talk about it.
Bring it in.
So she had asked me to do it, and I was like, no. I want to have like my own curriculum. I have a really clear vision of what a curriculum should be, but I'm not ready. Blah blah. So I started writing their curriculum and just like an outline of it of what I wanted, and I ended up visiting this friend in Miami, and basically she started a company that almost like franchises yoga teacher trainings. She created like a rubric and an outline of yoga teacher trainings and a training of how to run them. And she had the same goal as me, like do better in education. And so her company like makes the manuals and made a curriculum and has a training program of how to run the curriculum. Same thing, like to better the education out there. And what she does is sell this curriculum to yoga teachers that are ready to run trainings.
Who is this person in Miami?
It's called All You Can Yoga.
Oh, yeah.
So All You Can Yoga.
What's her name? What's her name?
Vanessa. Her name is Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Yeah. So then she takes like also a percentage. It's a very smart business plan that she does. And then she takes a percentage of all the profits of the yoga teacher training that you do.
Gotcha.
So she sells the curriculum and then she gets a profit. It's like a franchise model. Okay. It's really, really smart. And so I was like, really hesitant. No. And then I was visiting her because on my way to Costa Rica, I think I had like an overnight in Miami. So I visited her. And she was like, just look at the curriculum and see what you think. And I was like, fine, I'll take a look. And I saw her manuals and they were beautiful. And they were like so much better than I knew how to make at the time. And I looked at her curriculum and I took out my spreadsheet of what I thought the curriculum could be. And it was almost identical.
Amazing. Yeah.
So I agreed. I agreed to run All You Can Yoga trainings. And the idea being like she needed someone who had a bit of a face in the yoga world to back her trainings.
Yeah.
And I, at the time, needed an organizer, needed someone to make manuals for me because I didn't know how, and needed like the gaps filled in, and the training, organization.
The organizations, because I'm not the organizer. When my wife and I are doing our training, she's the organizer. Summer's the organizer. I'm the wild card and like the teacher, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So that ended up working out. So I did my first trainings just like under my own name, under Lauren Rudick with All You Can Yoga. And then I kept starting, as I was learning more, I was adding things and omitting other things and just kind of evolving it. And then flash forward like a year, I guess, I was in love again. I had another boyfriend and went to visit my family in Canada.
Yeah.
And we went to go see my sister who had 3 kids, I think at the time, 2 or 3. I don't know. She has a bunch of kids. I can't remember how many she had at the time. But
so many kids.
There were some boys. And Lori, don't laugh, Lauren and Lori. Lori was playing with the kids. And I didn't even know he liked kids. We'd never interacted around children together, And I was like, oh my God, this guy loves kids.
Yeah.
And in that same moment, my brain works incredibly fast and a seed was planted. I was like, wow, he loves kids. Oh my God, I could have a kid. I could have a person. And I was like, no, I can't have a kid. If Lauren Rudick has a child, Lauren Rudick can't run yoga teacher training because Lauren Rudick's name is on all the diplomas.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren Rudick is the brand. Lauren Rudick doesn't get to get sick. Lauren Rudick doesn't get mat leave.
No, none of it. Right. Yeah. Sole proprietorship. Yeah. It's all you.
Right. And so we ended up breaking up shortly after, but that was no hard feelings, by the way. Just hard listening. I still care about you. So yeah, no hard feelings. Just situational. And but I think that was the seed. That moment was the seed that planted Yoga Academy International. So anyway, then I went back to Costa Rica and I was meditating on the beach one day. And I had just been to a yoga class that was like pretty crappy. And I was like, oh, there's so much like shitty yoga out there. Like, the Yoga Alliance needs to have better standards. And oh, this was like, and anyway, I'm meditating and just this vision, this download of a vision, like came into my third eye. Is there no other way to describe it? Like a wormhole that expanded into like a universe. I can't even, like a Milky Way download, like into my third eye. It was just so clear and so vivid. I don't know how long I was sitting there. I was just sitting on the beach meditating. It was like pure consciousness. And I saw like the vision of this school, and I saw people, and I saw the location, and I saw the website, like everything about it. And I got out of this meditation and I was like, oh my God, I need to start an international yoga academy. Yes. It's going to be called the International Yoga Academy. And I like got up in a daze. I walked straight home and I Googled on GoDaddy, like, which is the website domain fire. I Googled on GoDaddy, like, International Yoga Academy, and that domain was taken, but GoDaddy suggested Yoga Academy International.
And it was available.
And Yoga Academy International. And I was like, YAI, yay! 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 And I bought the domain. 2 weeks later, there was a website, and my website is black and white because that's exactly how my vision was. It was black and white and vivid color. Like, it was so vivid. So my website is black and white, and all the vivid color comes from vivid photos of where we are. And so I started to develop teacher trainings under Yoga Academy International. And I had called Vanessa from All You Can Yoga, and I was like, look, I've started my own school, and I also feel like I've gone so far away from your curriculum at this point. Like, it's just evolved. And at that point, I had also created my own manuals that were different from the manuals that she was using.
Right.
With my own words and my own photos and whatever. And I was like, I think I've strayed so far away from All You Can Yoga. I think it's time for us to close our partnership. And she was like, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. And it was just like a very beautiful parting in a really nice way. Like, we just grew apart, and, she's still doing amazing things, and we still have the same goal, and we still really respect and believe in each other. And that was really how Yoga Academy was born, was like from a meditation. And I started it 3 years ago, and it just really exploded. Like, people wanted this. Our manifesto is that we are rising to a new standard of yoga education. And our standard is, we are bringing you into spectacular spaces in nature. We are introducing you to a lifestyle of yoga, not just poses, not just anatomy, not just singing. It's a lifestyle of yoga that you could incorporate holistically every day into your life. And we are going to support you with a loving community. And we are going to love you and love you and love you until you can love yourself. And that's it. And it worked.
That sounds amazing. Just yes to all that. And especially like, it's like just the universe unfolding. I mean, you're having that meditation, and you're just super inspired, and then it just worked out. Go to GoDaddy, and your first choice wasn't there. I mean, it was taken, but then GoDaddy came through.
Boom.
And what's also crazy is I did a Bhakti yoga training about a year ago in Mexico. I went back to 2 years ago maybe. I went back to my original 200-hour school 10 years later, and did a Bhakti yoga teacher training there.
That's so cool.
Teachers. And it was so cool. It was so inspiring to see, like, now that I've started my own school and been on this whole journey, it was really cool to see that they have not changed. Like, their school has grown tremendously, but fundamentally it's not changed. The value system hasn't changed. The teachers haven't changed. They know more now, have more to offer. The space hasn't changed. Like, and that made me feel so comforted that, like, you can grow and grow and grow and still keep your value system and still keep your core. And that was super inspiring. But I went, and, at a lot of mantras, you add the word yay, like Om Doom Durga Ye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapata Ye Namaha.
Yeah.
And I asked my teacher, like, what does yay mean in Sanskrit? Like, we always put yay. And she said, yay is the Shakti pusher. And I said, what? She's like, yeah, when you say yay at the end of the word, it's like the energy of Shakti that's pushing things forward.
Yep.
And Shakti is the energy of liberation and creation. And that's what Yoga Academy is all about. It's like, it's offering you the opportunity to create the life of your dreams and your passions and feel free and liberated by it. And my school is yay, Y-A-I. Like, it's just crazy.
You're following it.
Following
Yeah.
it.
When you're dialed in, you're fucking dialed in.
Dialed in on the yay. I wonder if yas is in anything.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, that's a mantra of mine. Yes.
I use it all the time on Instagram in my life.
No, but Lauren, your story's inspiring too, especially like the new yoga teacher out there. I mean, just listening to you, there's probably so many times, especially listening to parents. I mean, I'm sure everybody listening out there, I mean, you got parents that are just worried about you and that want you to, be safe. And especially with you going traveling to all these places, I'm sure your parents were worried. And I'm sure that was some pressure on you, to kind of be like, to do your thing and kind of get out of your comfort zone or get out of your parents' comfort zone. So, your story is inspiring that you just were assertive towards, your parents, and you went and, traveled and went and did your stuff. That's amazing.
Thank you. I think the difference, or not the difference, but I think the important thing to note here is that it wasn't a rebellion. I wasn't doing this out of rebellion. I was doing it because of the conviction. I was so sure that this was where I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And my parents were not happy with it, but I was just like, I have to. Like, I can't not do this. I know this is my life path. And to be honest, my parents were not on board with my yoga career and my choice to be a yoga teacher until like a couple of years ago, until recently, when they wanted to succeed. And
I know that feeling. I think I'm just around it's either just around the corner or maybe it's just happening. And my parents have always approved of like anything that I do because like they'll like, you'll be successful at whatever. But when you have kids and a wife and a house and you have like, they just wanted, parents want you to sometimes play it safe and like corporate structure, paycheck every other Friday kind of thing. Yeah. And you're like, I can't do that. Like, you don't understand. Like, I cannot physically go to those places. It will not work for me. It will not. I can't. I can't. So, yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah, exactly. They want the best for us.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I also understand, like, in my parents' generation, like, being an international yoga teacher didn't exist.
No.
How could they do that? And they're not in my head. How could they see my vision and understand it?
Right.
And
they can't.
Because they've seen the school.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, I know that feeling. And I traveled and taught a little bit. I went to Hawaii and taught a few years ago, like 4 years ago, for a number of weeks. And it wasn't like a glamorous living. You know what I mean? Like, what that's like living at somebody else's house, like in a room and like teaching workshops. I was living in the back of the studio kind of thing. And it's like, so it's not in the inception of it. Like it looks beautiful and like the pictures that you see on the internet, but you don't see the day-to-day stuff that goes behind it. So if you aspire to be a traveling yoga teacher, like, just like be willing to go through like the muck and the shit part of it as you're like going through there's beautiful things that happen along the way, but like this isn't like a 5-star resort staying in hotels like thing in the beginning. It doesn't work that way. For me anyway, it wasn't like that. And from all the stories I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, I just taught in Hamilton, Ontario this past weekend. I was staying in somebody's converted garden shed.
Yeah.
Converted into a room. Yeah, it's not glamorous. And those photos on the internet are curated and planned.
Yep.
I'm planning my outfit. I'm putting on makeup. I'm waking up at 5 a.m. to get the photo at sunrise when there's no one else on the beach or there's no one else in the town. And I take the best photo and then I edit it for an hour before I put it online. It's a brand.
It is. It's a brand out there.
Yeah.
No,
and
I feel that.
And you were mentioning, I mean, yeah, with all these teacher trainings, and there's a lot of yoga teachers out there. What do you think makes a great yoga teacher? Like anybody listening out there that's a new yoga teacher, like what makes a great yoga teacher?
Authenticity.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Integrity, man.
Integrity.
Yeah.
Also just showing up. And I feel bad because I was late, an hour late.
That's okay. You said just showing up. But Lauren overslept for our call this morning. It's okay though. The universe worked it out perfectly, and here we are, and this is all happening. So no big deal.
Showing up is a huge part of it. Like yoga teachers are perpetually flaky. We were talking about this before we got on this podcast. Perpetually flaky and perpetually late. Like,
yep.
I think 50% of the battle is just showing up on time.
Yeah, literally being there, like being present with it. Yes, yeah,
and then being authentic, and not trying to play the role of what you think a yoga teacher should be, or,
right?
Trying to inspire because you think you're supposed to say this thing. Like, just
right. Yeah, just speak from your heart and speak your truth. You know, just speak your truth.
I said this to my students who were asking, like, what are we supposed to teach? How do we know what our brand is? And I was like, well, whatever your struggle has been that you've gotten through, the lesson you learned from that is your message.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That's so beautiful that you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're all dealing with something. You know, we all have a story. We're all dealing with something, and we're all working on something. You know, and what I'm working on, what you're working on, what Pedro's working on, you know, we have strengths, we have different strengths, we have different weaknesses. And it's like, if you have been working on something, like for me, it's like anger, frustration, patience, like just being a competitive golfer. Like I just have that competitive drive. And like me, it's really patience. And yoga's taught me, and it's still something that I'm really working on, is just fucking be patient, just be present. Just come back to my breath, and meditation and like actually writing a gratitude list every day, like has been my biggest thing in my whole yoga practice, writing a gratitude list. That's me, you know, anybody out there, like what you're working on and what you came to yoga for. I mean, it could be your story. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Your story is your message. Your lesson is your message.
Yes. Yes. Lauren, you're inspiring. Like, thank you for taking the time. Yeah, thank you for taking that. Thank you for thank you for sharing your story with us and the listeners. There's so much value that you've added for sure in all the travels and the things that you've done. It's been really inspiring to hear about these things. I didn't know people did yoga in Iceland.
I didn't either.
Didn't know.
Do they have hot yoga there?
Is there hot yoga in Iceland?
Of course they do. It's Iceland.
It's got to be expensive as shit to heat up that room, you know?
No, actually it's not, because they have no. So here's the thing. Iceland has like a ton of geothermal power, right? Because it's all.
Oh, yeah.
So actually it's not expensive to heat. And believe it or not, you don't pay for hot water in Iceland. They just pump it up directly from the ground.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Like nobody has a hot water heater in their house. They literally just pump the hot water from the ground. And so when you shower, it smells like sulfur. But
that's crazy.
The shower never runs out. The hot water never runs out. And Icelanders take like notoriously long hot showers because they can. And the mom, my like Icelandic mom, her daughter is now in university in Denmark. And she's like, my daughter's going to have a very swift lesson when she gets to Denmark and starts
frigid showers. Oh, paying for bills. Yeah. Yeah, paying for that.
It's like a 35-minute shower.
Yeah, paying for that water bill is going to be a little pricey.
Yeah, and like, every town in Iceland has a full year-round outdoor heated swimming pool because they just pump the water in from the ground.
Wow. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
They're swimming outside any time of year.
So cool. So cool. All right, Lauren, that's a beautiful segue into our hashtag Lighten Up round, where we ask a few random questions to get to know some funny stuff about just your take on some little funny nuggets, and don't think too hard about them. Like, these are just fun. You know, this is you know, like you know when you see just for fun in the Instagram bio, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
These questions are just for fun.
I feel like I'm pressured to be cheeky now.
No. They're simple, right? Okay, so I'll shoot first, and then we'll go with Brian. So, okay, so this is easy one. Which country has better food, Morocco or Nicaragua?
Oh gosh, Morocco.
I want to go there. You've inspired me to go to Morocco.
Yeah, I want to go there. I saw your pictures on Instagram, like with camels, and then drinking tea in the middle of the desert on a rug or on a carpet.
It was incredible.
Was it a magic carpet ride?
It literally, the whole trip was a magic carpet ride. I would highly. Yeah, that was so cool. The Sahara Desert was mind-blowing.
Amazing. Okay, Brian, you go.
Okay, speaking about magic carpet rides, and this one's totally random. Just thought of it right now. So, what type of yoga would Aladdin practice? What type of yoga? Like any yoga out there, what type?
Well, it'd be like carpet yoga, like stuff yoga, like carpet yoga.
You'd have a carpet yoga workshop.
Exactly. I mean, everybody want a floating carpet, and
Aladdin's like, everybody come in, grab your yoga block, grab your towel, grab your magic carpet. It's time to do some yoga.
Oh my God, this is amazing. Okay, so we love Disney on this show. Like Disney's going to sponsor this show one day. We don't know when, but we're at Disney. Please sponsor this show if you're listening. Anybody has connections to Disney, let us know. Okay, so who would be a better yoga teacher? Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse?
I mean, their voices, both of them. Come on.
Got to pick one.
Oh my God. I don't know that much about Disney. I guess Mickey Mouse because he's more iconic and so probably I don't know about better, but he would probably be more successful. He's more iconic. He has more connections.
I love that.
Those are kind of better than women in general because there's less of you.
Lauren thinks in branding. She's like Corey from the last episode, my friends. She's like Corey. She basically logos. Lauren is probably going to work with Corey soon.
Right?
Who's Corey?
He was our guest on the last episode, so that'll debut before anyone who hears this one. They'll have heard that one, and all the pieces will sync up once they hear that.
Yeah, he's a big time marketing guy.
He's a brander.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
So funny. Okay, Wildcard Brian, go ahead.
All right, so who would reach enlightenment faster? The Loch Ness Monster or a leprechaun?
The Loch Ness Monster, for sure, because he's just like grooving in the lake, like, slowly and grooving. And the leprechaun is always seeking too much.
Oh, yeah, that's so true. He's always seeking in pot of gold and Nessie's just chilling. She's She's just somewhere chilling.
Leprechaun's got attachment issues.
Totally.
He needs to practice the law of detachment.
Yeah, he's trying to follow rainbows and boxes of cereal.
Yeah, you see these rainbows. You're never going to get enlightenment. You got to sit there. I love saying this to my students. Don't just do something. Sit there.
Ooh,
yes. Right? Yes. All the answers, silence is loaded with answers like that, that thing. But that's so true. Just sit there. And it all coming. Lauren, thank you so much for taking the time. This has been a joy. Thank you for letting us shoot out some random Lighten Up Brown questions. Those were fun. And you had some really thoughtful answers on those questions. You had some insight. I don't know how you processed that so fast. Okay, it's Loch Ness Monster because XYZ and not Leprechaun. Okay, let me say it. Within 0.01 seconds.
My brain works ridiculously fast sometimes. It scares me too.
Clearly, working out.
It's that presence. You're present. You listen to the question, you're there. Boom.
I mean, think about this. Seeing a man I was in love with interact with a child planted a seed that started an entire international yoga school.
Okay, it all makes sense now. Everything makes sense. Everything makes sense.
Yeah, sky's the limit. We never know what's going to happen with you next. I mean,
have you heard
you watching?
Don't tell me the sky's the limit when there are footprints on the moon.
Oh, shit.
I haven't heard that quote.
Oh, shit. That's awesome.
We'll probably link it in the show notes.
We're linking that in the show notes.
I love it. Okay, my friends, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Yogi Show podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you go back to theyogishow.com to check out the show notes and all the links where to check out Lauren and the Yoga Academy International. Yay! And it's been so fun. Thank you for showing up this morning, Yogi Bryan, early in the morning from Arizona. Shout out to you waking up early, brother.
What up?
Making it happen. And Lauren, thanks a lot for being here.
Thanks for having me. This was so fun.
Absolutely. So we're going to sign off, my friends. Until next time, we'll see you soon, and namaste.
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 Thank you so much for tuning into the Yogi Show podcast. How cool is Lauren? I mean, inspiring. You can go to theyogishow.com and visit us there and look at all the show notes. We provide all the show notes, provide all the links. You can see where to contact Lauren with her website there. The music today on the Yogi Show is brought to you by DJ Taz Rashid. DJ Taz Rashid's pumping out the good hits. You can find them on Spotify, Apple Music, just anywhere that plays music, you can find them there. Any of these songs here, you can go to the Yogi Show on the show notes. We're going to have the song. We're going to have the links. We take care of you. We appreciate each and every one of you that listens. Please leave a review if you can. Please tell your friends. That would mean a whole lot to us if you could do that. Share this podcast. And I know you want to know the answer to the mid-episode trivia. Here it is, Yogi. So the question was, which planet spins the fastest? Which planet spins the fastest? And the answer to that question is Jupiter. Jupiter is the fastest spinning planet in our solar system, rotating on average once in just under 10 hours. So that planet's spinning once in 10 hours. How crazy is that? Blowing your mind? Maybe we can get Bill Nye the Science Guy on next time. We'll see. If anybody has a contact to Bill Nye the Science Guy, hit us up. We'll get him on the show. Maybe he does yoga, maybe not. But we appreciate you. And remember, gratitude, 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 attitude of gratitude, ladies and gentlemen. But you have a great rest of your Monday. Namaste.